I ask every one of you to imagine the faces of your mothers as you look at mine, and ask yourself, is there nothing that we can do? Is there nothing that you personally are willing to do to stop the cancer of white supremacy and the domestic terrorism it inspires? Because if there is nothing, then, respectfully, senators, you should yield your positions of authority and influence to others that are willing to lead on this issue. The urgency of the moment demands no less. My mother's life mattered. My mother's life mattered. And your actions here today will tell us how much it matters to you.
That was the son of Ruth Whitfield, who was killed at the Tops supermarket in Buffalo last month. He testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee on the effects of white supremacy and domestic terrorism. And joining us now, the host of The Sunday Show here on MSNBC, associate editor at The Washington Post, Jonathan Capehart. And Jonathan, your latest op-ed for The Post is provocatively titled, "Why Black People Are Afraid of Crazy White People." And you write in part this: "I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Black people are not afraid of white people. We're afraid of crazy white people. Let me try to explain. Things felt so dicey during the Trump years, I half joked that my husband and I might have to reenact that scene from The Sound of Music and flee the country. The right to self-protection, let alone the right to bear arms, doesn't exactly apply to black people. Right now, I'm defining crazy as anyone who believes any aspect of the racist Great Replacement conspiracy. This is the noxious idea that liberals are deliberately replacing white people with non-whites and immigrants. It's what allegedly drove an 18-year-old man to target black people in Buffalo, killing 10 and wounding 3. And it's all because of the number of crazy white people in America fearing replacement appears to be growing. And they seem ready to do whatever it takes to stay at the pinnacle of American life. And to that point, Jonathan, here's a new poll that finds 58% of Republicans believe in the so-called replacement theory. The YouGov poll asked explicitly, do you agree or disagree that white people in this country are being replaced by non-white people? 25% of Republicans strongly agreed. 33% somewhat agreed. Overall, 42% of white Americans polled believe they are being replaced. So, Jonathan Capehart, when we look at mass shootings in America and we look at the race of a lot of mass shooters, I mean, your point can be broadened.
Yeah, and I want to add one more data point to the conversation that comes from the Southern Poverty Law Center, which was the basis of my op-ed piece. Nearly half of the people surveyed in that SPLC survey agreed demographic changes were part of, quote, a purposeful plan to replace white voters. Overall, nearly half the people, nearly half of the Americans surveyed by the Southern Poverty Law Center agreed with that statement, echoing what you just showed there from the YouGov poll. I've gotten a lot of reaction, particularly from the far right about this, particularly, hurling back in my face, well, you have a better chance of being killed by a black person than, a white supremacist. But that's not the point. The point is there are people, white people in this country who are motivated by the Great Replacement theory and are weaponizing it, as we saw by the alleged Buffalo shooter. That's why that is so concerning. And that is why I have also heard from lots of people, African Americans, but also other people of color, LGBTQ Americans, who were sending me messages about their active plans to look for other places to go because things in this country are feeling dangerous. Look at the anti-LGBTQ laws that are sprouting up all over the country, the Buffalo shooting, other things that have been happening in this country where it doesn't feel safe to a lot of people.
So this is not the first time I've heard of this conversation from people close to me. So tell me about that conversation you had with your husband. I mean, were you just joking, or what were the thoughts behind it? What are your feelings about your experience as an American citizen today?
Well, this started during the Trump years, started during his campaign, took off immediately after Charlottesville is when I started having these conversations, because the president of the United States ceded the moral authority of the Oval Office to give aid and comfort to white supremacists who marched on Charlottesville. And then it even got worse from there. Once you take that lid off, that roiling pot that's been part of American history since before the founding of the Republic, it is hard to put it back on, especially when the person who took the lid off was the president of the United States. So the forces unleashed by Donald Trump, they're not going back. They're not going back in the pot. And so I half joked and said, you know, we need to have a plan B. We might have to Von Trapp out of the country. I was half joking. Right now, I'm still half joking, but I will tell you this. If I leave this country, that will be your signal that things have really run off the rails, because I'll be damned if I let white supremacists or anybody else run me out of my country. I'm not replacing anybody. My folks were here before a lot of those folks who want to replace people arrived on these shores. America was built on an idea of freedom, on an idea of if you've got the gumption, you've got the drive, you've got the determination, that this is a land for you to seek your opportunity and seek the American dream, however you define it. So again, I am not letting anybody run me out of this country, but I am not going to put myself or my family in harm's way because folks don't like the fact that I'm here. The folks don't like the fact that people who are like me are here.
Jonathan, thank you for writing the piece. Actually, stay with us. We'd love for you to join for the next segment. Coming